Hi, folks. Terry Buzzard Jr. here. Here to share with you my map of why I do what I do and how I got to the point where I was at, and really what empowers me to help others. When I was born, my mother was extremely young, high school type age, and at that particular era, it was a little bit strange. So, her job was really just to simply work as hard as she possibly could to help make sure that she was providing for us or for me. Later on, of course, I did get a sister, so it was her job was to make sure she could do anything that she could do to make sure that we were fed, had a roof over our head, have what minimal toys that we was to have. In essence, we grew up fairly poor, just like a lot of other people have, as far as that's concerned. There's no surprise there, but it was really and a lot of that mentality came from, my grandfather. My grandfather was more of a factory worker, blue collar guy, worked for Westinghouse and big companies. And then one thing that he always instilled with me, which obviously very clearly instilled with my mother, and that was you work hard, and that's what you do. You work hard, you keep your nose to the grindstone, you bust butt, and you just don't stir the pot. Because if you stir the pot, something can happen, and you might have to go find another job, which leaves uncertainty. You don't know what you're going to do. So it's to be very conservative and stable throughout your career. Matter of fact, part of what he always trained me was you want to go ahead and get a job, work as hard as you possibly can, keep your nose to the grindstone, don't stir the pot, and try and get a promotion. Work your way up through the ranks, learn your skills and go, and try and become a supervisor, a shift leader, a manager, whatever that case happens to be, until you kind of work your way up through the company, which was great back in the 60s, 70s, 50s, 40s when he was in a major working area. My mother had that same mentality, of course, right? But also being, I'm going to say conservative, not politically, but being conservative financially. She didn't take those risks that she should have taken. She would be given job offers where she could make more money, but that mentality was there to where, no, I need to be safe. I need to make sure I'm protecting myself because this is stable. I know what to expect, and I don't have to change things. I know that this is going to provide. And part of that process, you got to remember, we didn't get everything that we got things that we needed, but everything that we wanted. Matter of fact, one of my biggest stories is, part of my upbringing is I got 6 pairs of socks once a year. I got them for Christmas, or your holiday time, and it was that same mentality that I shouldn't say mentality. It was that what's it called? So those socks I had to keep for a year. Right? They had to go. I had to make those 6 pairs of socks last all year. Obviously, in the summertime, you don't wear socks as much, so it's not that big of a deal. But over time, of course, those socks change, right? Some get stretched out, some shrink very more, et cetera, et cetera. And you had to make them work. But all my entire schooling years, I always had unmatched socks. One would be taller, shorter, looser, tighter, whatever the case happened to be. And I carried that on through my entire life. I always had mismatched socks. I know it's the cool thing to do now, but back then that's not simply something I wanted. I just wanted simple white tube socks that I could wear and make and that stayed up. But again, that mentality come from the fact that it was you got to work as hard as you possibly can, keep your nose to the grindstone, don't stir the pot. And I'm not sitting there saying you have to disrupt things on a regular basis, but I did learn a new mentality and a new method to help get yourself noticed. A lot of times when we sit there and we just put our nose to the grindstone and just do the work that we're supposed to do and we're told what to do, we're nothing more than a follower. And once you become that follower, people don't look at you as a leader or look at you the way that you have the capabilities of being. So I developed this by reading books and studying. I learned methodologies and of things that you can do to help yourself stand out, to make yourself recognized, to get you out of that mindset of that worker mentality and actually become what you actually are capable of becoming. You learn how to interact with people. You learn the mindset again of what it takes to trip yourself to get yourself out of that. It's not an easy path. It never honestly is. That's a habitual thing that was through most of my adult life. It wasn't until I figured this out. And there's a lot of times that I will actually slip back into that mentality, right? Of, okay, I just have to work hard. I just got to work as hard as I possibly can, and things are going to pan out. And that's not necessarily the way it is. And I think most of us here know that. There is that one degree of definition, that separation, that really takes you to that next level the way you're supposed to be. Showing you what you're capable of being anyway. And it took a long time to get out of that, and it was a long, slow process for me. However, knowing what the skills are now, I can actually help people get through that. Matter of fact, as I worked in my way into leadership, I fell with the mentality you got to train your replacement. Okay, and I was coaching people doing that same thing, and they were growing up and learning and developing and doing the same things the way they're supposed to be. Or I shouldn't say supposed to be, but becoming who they wanted to be. But it's interesting because, like I said, I always do slip back, or sometimes I do slip back in that old mentality. But all I really have to do is stop and think about those unmatched socks. And I realize that that's not the way you're supposed to think. That's not the way it's supposed to be. And I put myself back into the program of fixing that mindset, of fixing those things that are inside of my head and the patterns and stuff that I've had in the past, overcome that to make sure that it doesn't do anything to hold me back like it was doing before. Just like, and I'm sure that you guys have some of that same experiences where you've got that one little thing that you can't get rid of that's been part of your life for a long time. Guys, I really appreciate y'all taking a few minutes just to listen to my story. Hopefully there was something in there that you took from it. Please feel free to chat below. Let me know what you thought, and we can go from there. Thanks, guys.